Hello, I am Stephanie Joy, the attorney at All Things Social Security and Joy Disability Law. Your video is about to start. I just wanted to remind you that if you click the join button below, you can learn more about the memberships offered at a very affordable price that can give you a little more direct attorney answers to your questions. Have a great day and enjoy the video. If you are working on your work history report that the SSA has demanded of you, and as always, I kind of think it's a good idea to start working on this before it is demanded of you. You know it's coming. So unless you only had one job in the last 5 years, in which case the detailed information will be requested of you on your application when you file online, if you do. If that's not the case, you're going to get this demand for a work history report. So it's the SSA 3369. They are really, really important. And I will say they're extremely important for the over 50 crowd, but they're important for everybody for a multitude of reasons. But a lot of times, I just had one today, a very, very dear client of mine who I've known a long time. And the work history is really not remembered very well by him. It's been since, say, 2021, since any kind of work was done. And he may be mixing up years. Which year did I do that in 20 or 21? And some of it was part-time and some of it was maybe a very brief full-time. If you find you're having that problem, now there's no problem with being frank about it to the SSA. They do have access, ironically, and I don't know why they don't share this for free. It's kind of like a bug in my craw that they don't. They have quarterly information access, including who you worked for. They also have annual detailed earnings statements where they know who all you worked for in a given calendar year. And all those numbers of income are going to, be looked at to determine if any of those jobs were potentially SGA. And then you figure out, well, when did you work for them in the year? I mean, if that $10,000 you made was all spread out amongst the 12 months, you probably didn't work SGA in any given month. But if you worked and made $10,000 in 3 months, then you made SGA in 3 months or even 4. So, and remember, SGA, we always have to know that because that can make or break your case. It can also make or break your benefits after you've won. So really important to have it down pat. So in this case, my friend is really just can't remember. And we don't really want it to go in inaccurately if we can help it. Partially because we want to be able to accurately determine which things are not SGA and therefore cannot be counted as past relevant work. Because remember, the goal here is to prove that he can't do past relevant work. So if something is not noted to be past relevant work, a dog is whining, it's driving me crazy, then it won't count. Hold on 1 second. I'm going to have to go give him a verbal what for. Hold on. I can figure this out. See if that worked. Okay. So one of the things I'm having him do, we just had a conversation and just minutes ago, he's going to dig up his tax returns and, it might even be 1 year he didn't even bother to file, but the SSA annual earnings statement, which everyone needs to get, you always have to get this. And right now it's pretty tricky because it's the online way of getting it has changed. I can't even get into mine. So we'll see how that kind of evolves over time. But that annual earnings statement is our first point of reference because it says so-and-so made $5,000 that year. Okay, so where did you work and make $5,000? It could be multiple places you worked for a combined 5,000 or whatever your amount is. So that's like the broadest documentation of proof. Doesn't necessarily give us the details we need. So then want to go to the tax returns and see what they say. And that, because if he has W-2s or 1099s, that's going to be helpful. And we'll see where that's going. One thing I would love to see it going to, I don't know if this is possible, but if he worked someplace and those earnings are not reflected, we could potentially if we could get proof of it, push out the date last insured a little further, because his is very, very recently in the past. That means any new treatment he gets doesn't count to go towards his alleged onset date. That has to be before, say, September of 2024. So that's one thing. But also we want to know if the work done was so not SGA, so under SGA over the months that he did it, that it cannot be counted as past relevant work, because then I don't have to prove that his medical impairments prevent him from doing that super simple job. I want it out of there, if at all possible. So tax returns, if you didn't file a tax return, hopefully you kept your W-2s or your 1099s. Ideally, you would have filed your tax returns properly, okay? If you don't have them, that's not good. And I always tell everybody, keep your tax returns and all the information forever. If you don't, you might be able to go to the source and get them, maybe the HR department of a company you worked for, possibly. If you use a tax preparer to do taxes, sometimes they keep copies. I'd like to think they do for a number of years, but I got no control of that. But getting that so it can trigger the memories, and now I can inquire about a specific company he worked for and find out what exactly he did, so that if it's a past relevant job, we can show how arduous it was. A lot of unskilled jobs are pretty arduous. It could be heavy lifting, like stocking shelves. It could be a lot of running around. It could be dealing with the public that the person can no longer do due to some mental health limitations, maybe anxiety, irritability, that kind of thing. So, or so much time on your feet. It was a stand-up job, and now you have really bad neuropathies in your feet that are really established by your medical evidence, because you dutifully go to your neurologist to have that checked up upon and reported upon and complained upon on a regular basis. So this work history detail is really important. We're actually going to get an extension, because I really want him to have as much information he can provide as possible, so that the SSA doesn't have to just assume things, because they might not assume in his favor. So we're trying to put a kibosh on that. Anyway, look to those old documents. Anything you can get that can help you remember when you worked for who, like when that particular job was, if it's all getting mixed up in your head, all right? Because those precise months can be really important, particularly for dividing out a sum of money. The more we spread out the money, the more likely it's going to be not SGA if it was part-time work. Okay. All right, kids. I'll talk to you later. Good luck with the work history report. I know.